expanded on this quite a bit. It's a lot to build an app. It takes a ton of time and development and all this stuff that I didn't really know had to go into it, but I just kind of decided I'm tired of talking about it. I'm going to do it. So it was a little over a year ago when I really like kicked it up a notch and started developing it and working with the coders. And I hired this group out of New York, and I have coders in Vietnam, and it's 9 a.m. when it's there, when it's 9 p.m. here, and I'm up all night for a different
Oh
reason
my gosh.
because I'm communicating with them all night and just getting it rolling. So now I'm about maybe 3 weeks from it being done.
That's exciting.
Yeah, and like it's legit on my phone. It's been on my phone for a few months now. And like in the beginning, it was, 20% done on my phone. And so you do something and it stopped working because it just only had a little bit. And so now it's like 85, 90% done. We're just fixing a couple of the things that like after I designed it, you get it on an actual phone and you're like, oh shit, that didn't really flow right or didn't work right.
Right.
And so there's a few things like that. And there's maybe, I don't know, there's probably 8 features that it was too much time to get it developed for the first release. So like there'll be
Yeah.
about, 6 or 8 features that pop out over the next couple months.
Is it awesome seeing it like come to life and unfold and like really become an app?
Yeah, I mean that day, the first day that it wound up on, I saw the icon on my home screen, like I had a moment for sure.
Oh my
But
gosh, I bet.
like, but then I let myself have a moment for,
A
a couple
moment.
minutes, and then I was like, all right, it's shit right now. It's got to work. So
Right.
it feels pretty good now. Like I'll be real excited when it's on the App Store, because like right now it's in the Apple Developer Program. So you got to go through this app called Test Flight to get it on your phone, and it's a little bit of a hassle. But in about 2 weeks, it'll be on the App Store, and then I'm going to do like a little small kind of launch of like 20 people that are testing it and that sort of thing,
Oh
and
nice.
kicking it around. And then assuming that goes well for a couple of weeks, then I'll unleash, this marketing plan I've been building.
Working on.
Yeah. So all I've really been doing is like, do you know who Gary Vee is by any chance?
Yeah,
Like
I've heard of him. The
he's this
podcaster.
he has a podcast. He owns this giant marketing agency, and he just talks about different, marketing plans and strategies. And I've been all in on all his strategies. And I'm going to go meet him here in December. I get to go have a lunch with him. But
Fun.
yeah, it'll be cool. I'm excited about that. But his whole strategy is like, just document your shit, document your day, talk to people, just sit down and chat about it. And then ultimately what I do with that is I'll cut that into little small clips. If one of us says something amazing that I can use, then I turn it into like a 15-second like clip that I put
But
on Instagram or whatever, of like, an epiphany that somebody has of how they could communicate with their customers, So did I tell you like kind of all what it does? I think I did, but
a little bit.
so I'll give you like the high level rundown. If you have any questions, you can ask me about it. But as you know, like I spent a ton of time sitting around listening to, or, talking to servers, bartenders, whatever.
Right.
And like it just dawned on me that you guys are salespeople too, and your tips are your commissions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a sales dude. I have all these tools to help me sell to my customers to be successful. But you guys are just stuck with the next table that the hostess hands you. So like I just kind of decided there had to be a better way to like communicate, and especially from like a female standpoint, like you having to give your phone number maybe, or your Instagram or your Facebook to people that maybe you trust them, maybe you don't. It's a little awkward. How do you broach that? You could tell them, hey, I work every Tuesday from here to then, and do they remember that? It's just sloppy. It's not really good. So what I built was a way for servers and bartenders to kind of take the awkwardness out of that, and then communicate through the app, just like, hey, follow me on this app, and it'll tell you my schedule. You'll be able to send broadcast messages to all of your folks or bits and pieces. So like if you have a crew that comes in every Wednesday for lunch, you can put that in the Wednesday crew, and you can send a blast message, hey, don't forget I'm here, I'm working on Wednesday. And then appear that it comes from directly you to them. It looks like a one-on-one message, but for you, you send one message and it goes to everybody that you've put in that chat. And then it allows you to hear from them and message them and do all that kind of stuff. But then from a customer standpoint, like I can pull up the map of me right now and see who is working around me right now, what servers are on shift, on duty right now. And I can go and be like, oh, I'm going to go ask for Brittany. She's in there. And I know that you're working, and I can come in and know that you're there and ask for you. Or I could plan ahead. I could, I'm going to Dallas next week. I can look ahead and see who's working at Moxie's in Dallas, and let them know that I'm coming, and give them a heads up, that sort of thing.
Well, that's genius, especially if you have like business meetings and stuff and you want to make sure you have like a good server to take care of you, these places this time. That's genius.
A huge deal. So like I've got a few servers at St. Elmo's,
Yeah.
and one of them was Peyton Manning's personal waiter, or personal server. And like when he told me that story, I was like, bro, this is awesome. Like, do you market that? Like, do people know that? And he was like, when people sit down, I tell them. I'm like, Jesus, could you imagine being at St. Elmo's and putting Peyton Manning's personal server? People are going to want to sit with him just to hear a story.
Oh, 100%. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. Go take your time. No worries. You work at a bar?
Okay, we're gonna go back inside now. Sorry, my house is like a zoo.
It's all
with
good.
Dogs and kids.
Bring him into the mix. I don't care. Have him sit there.
Did you see my dog? He was up on the table.
Yeah, I'm gonna like make him the star. Like I'm gonna be sitting there interviewing a dog. I asked him a couple questions. He didn't have any good answers.
And I saw him jump on the table. I'm like, I wonder if you can see him right now.
Yeah, that was hilarious. I'm gonna cut that out and be like, this is who I met with today. With some of the best content. That's hilarious. But yeah, that's what I don't know. That's what I'm doing. It's got all like it'll make resumes for servers, which is kind of cool. Like if you decide you want to jump up to like Harry and Izzy's or whatever, you can say, all right, I got 3,472 followers and I've been here this long. There's no ratings or public comments or anything, but people can send you private comments. They can send you tips, that sort of thing. And so you could take those and put them into your resume, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess what I wanted to ask, and now that you kind of know what it is, like, I want to get your thoughts on just regulars in general, and like, how did you communicate with them? Like, I guess I know how you communicate with me, but what was it like for you as a female doing what you do, communicating with regulars and getting them to come in and see you? Was it tricky, hard? Like,
it was definitely tricky because there's those people that you don't necessarily want to give your number to because they don't know a boundary. They, when you're working, like, hey, I want to let you know when my schedule is. But then when it's like your off time, it's like your personal time. So they wouldn't understand that. And they would be like texting you all day, every day, blowing your phone up. And it's like, yes, and I enjoy talking to you, but sometimes like I just like my me time.
yeah, there's a time and a place for it, right? Like,
right, exactly. And so then like also too, you'd either have to give them your phone number, which sometimes like they'll blow you up and that's just annoying. Sometimes if you give them like your Instagram and Facebook, their messages get lost because so many people message you all day long. And so then when you see them again, they're like, well, why didn't you text me back? Or why didn't you do this? And why didn't you do that? And it's like, I do have a life outside of these four walls. I know that's real shocking to most because I'm there 6 days a week, but so that's definitely one thing that's hard. And then there's some people that you can give your number to, they know like, your off time is your off time and things like that. And it's very hard to like read those people and know who is like, yeah, I can give my number out. No, I can't give my number out.
right.
Thing. That's something I struggle with. And like if your schedule changes at the last minute, say you were sick, you get sent home for some reason, and then people are like, why didn't you let me know you weren't working today?
Right. It's tough to let 20 people know that you're off, or who's going to get upset or who's not. That's
right.
Yeah, I like that. That was a big, like, the part of the thought process is like, how do you like triage all that stuff? It's like you almost need like a full-time job to like, because it's a lot of people too message and like, hey, I'm going to be working today. come see me because you want the good customers to come in and tip you and that sort of thing. So like you got outgoing messages, you forget to tell some people, do they remember your schedule? So I think part of it was just like put all that in one place, and it's got pretty much all the privacy settings that an Instagram would.
Yeah.
So like, you know, if you want to block somebody, if you want to report somebody, if you want to keep them out of a certain, you know, communication, you can, you know, you can leave them in purgatory like you do in Instagram sometime where they request a follow, but you just don't get around to accepting. So I think all those things are kind of cool to like take this work life. It's almost like a LinkedIn for servers and bartenders and that sort of thing. You take this work life and like put it in this bucket that you then can deal with it, you know, whenever you want. And you get the notifications on your phone, it'll pop up and say, you know, Jim messaged you or whatever it is, and you can choose to go in and act on it
That's,
if you want.
yeah. I also really like the idea of it helping you build a resume, because when you come out of the service industry, which I did come out of, and I'm still in a little bit, but going into like a 9 to 5 normal job, outside of like putting like I was this bartender, like how do you really sell yourself? Sometimes people look down at you for being a server, being a bartender, and doing those things. And I feel like with you adding all of those things, like how many followers you have, like that whole Peyton Manning thing, like that's genius to put in on something. I never would have thought to put anything like that.
Yeah, so it's interesting you mentioned that because like, would you consider yourself a salesperson when you were being a
No,
bartender?
I wouldn't.
So like you know, you are, right? I mean, you're a salesperson really, and like, and the other thing is, you know, there'll be a way, I got to kind of figure this out, but there'll be a way to track offline tips, obviously not what they write in the thing, but like you could even say, you know, look at it and be like, listen, I've accumulated X amount of dollars just on people, you know, tipping me outside of my job. You know, that's I'm a salesperson. I sell whatever it is, myself, the food, the, you know, the experience, the atmosphere, and you know, you being good at that. I think part of what I want to accomplish is like I want to help a lot of servers and bartenders realize that it is a sales job. Like you
Yeah,
go in there, if you're a bump on a log and you hate being there, that'll reflect your tips. You know,
that's very true.
if you're hustling and you're, you know, and you're smiley and you're kind of working the crowd a little bit, that will also reflect your tips. It doesn't matter where you work. You know, you could work at Applebee's or Waffle House and the same thing, you know, the same thing applies,
Right.
right? So I don't know. I think that's like, I think helping servers look at themselves as salespeople is kind of a big piece of this, and giving them a tool to like manage their customers and their best. So the goal would be is that at the end of the day, you have all your favorite and best customers, whether they're just good people or they're good tippers or they're both. They're filling your tables all day, and you're dodging the ones that are think, you know, they're jerks, they're shitty tippers, they think you're a servant, not a server,
Right.
you know.
So you,
So
you dictate literally sitting at your tables all day long.
you can,
That's
it's up,
basically what you're doing. Yeah.
it's totally up to you. Like you can, if you work it right, you should have your section full all day, all night. Your bar could be full all day. You know, you may have a few slip in here and there. You could
Right.
also, you know, I mean, it could work out where, you know, maybe I assume some like restaurants are probably going to push back and want to, you know, not allow it so much if it gets out of hand and that sort of thing. But even then, you're identifying amazing servers and not so amazing servers. So you're helping the restaurants. But my hope is 2 or 3 years from now, you know, I get bought or merge or do something with like an open table where not only are you picking the time that you go to dinner, but the time and the server that you sit with. It's all booked right in the same app. Um,
Uh, that's really genius.
right?
That would be amazing, because when I worked at Twin Peaks when I was a server, I had not to toot my own horn, but I had a little waiting
Do it.
line for my section at that
Yeah,
time. It was like around Christmas. A lot of people were coming in from out of state. They wanted to make sure they saw me before the Christmas holidays, whatever the case may be. So I had people that were like legit waiting to sit in my section. So something like that where they could basically pick their time slots ahead of time would have been
absolutely. Yeah. They could pick their time slots. They could even, or if they miss you, they could shoot you a tip. Although I think I'm going to call it a gift. They could shoot
Yeah.
you a tip through the app and be like, hey, I came in, it was packed, I missed you, but here's happy holidays, here's $50 anyway, or whatever.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I like that though, because what it sort of proves my point that people are willing to maybe wait for the right experience. Like I wouldn't mind waiting an extra 20 minutes to sit with the person that I know I'm going to enjoy and have a good chat with and a good time with, rather than just taking the next available table. Now there's some people that don't care, but
Right. They're just there to eat their food, but some people enjoy that interaction. It's like nice to get out and talk and meet somebody new and hear about their life and their stuff that they have going on.
right. And I think there's something to that. Like the people that don't care, they might end up getting the servers that don't care. Like
Yeah.
it sort of will, I hate to say it, but it almost like the groups will weed themselves out, and like the servers that put in the extra and the customers that are willing to follow them and find the right time to go and communicate with them, the good will find the good, and then the lazy will find the lazy. If they're a shitty server, then they may get stuck with the other um the other type.
Not so caring people.
Exactly, yeah.
You don't want to be there. I don't want to be here. It all works out.
Right, yeah. uh like what about like just absolutely shitty customers that, like, did you run into many of those there, or was it okay for the most part? Like,
Um, you definitely have. I always say the good outweighs the bad, because you would have those one customers that always come in strong and they will always tip you well, and they see when you do have a shitty customer, somebody who literally complains from the minute they sit down, they want everything free and they still tip you $0. Like those are just my favorite, and they eat their whole entire meal and then complain about it later. That's just my real favorite.
that's amazing. I love when that happens. Yeah,
Right. So yeah, you definitely do get those, and they're a lot not as common, but you still get them at least probably once a week.
really.
Yeah.
That's got to. And so, like, I don't know, is it bad? Would you feel bad kind of dodging them if you knew, or like, what if somebody like that tried to follow you on an app like this? I guess is kind of what I'm wondering. Like, you could leave them in purgatory,
Well,
you could not accept, you could, you know,
yeah, and honestly, I'm there to make a living and to pay my bills.
right.
That's my end goal with having a job like that. So when people come in and they don't feel like they need a tip, I'm like, servers make $2.13 an hour, and that all gets taken by taxes every single paycheck. So we get $0. We live off tips alone. And if you don't have the human decency, now if I'm a bad server, then by all means, like I understand you give me what you think I deserve. But if your server's doing well and they're going above and beyond, they're doing everything they're supposed to be doing, and you still like stiff, I'm like, that's just shitty. I don't want you sitting in my section. I don't want you taking up a table, a chair that somebody else could sit there and pay me and I could enjoy their company, because I'm not going to sit here and enjoy somebody who's constantly bad mouthing you, putting you down, telling you your service is terrible. Because I'm one of those people, I'm like, my service is that bad, go sit with somebody else. Like,
And
I
it's not,
don't.
and they're probably just saying it to say it to like build up to the fact that they're getting ready to ask for a discount, or they're gonna not tip you, or whatever it is.
Oh, and you can just tell like right off the bat, those people too. They're like, they just come in and they hate their lives and they're miserable and they just want everybody else to be miserable around them. And I'm like, why be like that?
How can you go through life like that? Yeah. See, yeah, with a personality like yours, I mean, you can't put up with that kind of nonsense.
No, you don't want to. Why be a downer?
I know there's too many people that are just, I mean, they go through life cynical, and it drives me insane. You were a manager, right? For a while, you did a lot of that, didn't you?
I
So,
did management.
so throw your management hat on for a minute and think about, like, you know, the people coming in and everybody wants to sit with Matisse. Like, it's just nonstop. They're all asking for her, and her section's full. And like, do you get her some help? Do you just tell people they gotta wait? Do you like today? I think that's a different conversation maybe than if, like, a year from now, people have been using this and they start to realize, well, maybe you can give Matisse a bigger section and get her some help and do that sort of thing. But like, I don't know, what do you think a manager might say when they see that type of thing happening a lot?
The first couple of times the manager will probably step in, help make all the drinks for the girls on the floor. With like our restaurant, it's nice because if a girl is super busy, you can tell all the girls to bring their drinks in to the other bar. If they're not busy, then they can take the time, make all the well drinks for everybody. So that way Matisse is focusing on her customers at hand. But definitely if you know, like you have a strong server who brings in lots of people and you know, like she's going to be busy as heck, you do give her a bigger section, more people can sit in there, and then you give her some help too. Like, why not capitalize? If I was a restaurant, why not capitalize off your strongest and your most valuable player? It's just like a basketball team. You always put them in to make sure you're winning the games. That's like putting your best bartenders and your best servers in, so you're winning every single day.
I love it. How often do you think that happens? Like, do you think that your experience is unique in that, or do you think that's kind of common around the industry?
I feel like it's pretty common around the industry, because I mean, like I have certain restaurants that I know that certain people go to that I like, or that I go to for certain people because I know they're working and I know I can sit with them. I'm going to get taken care of. I know the money I'm tipping them, they have worked hard, very hard for it. And being in the service industry, I like to know that I'm tipping well and I'm helping somebody else make their living and they're worth it and they're using it.
I love that. That reminds me of something I probably should have mentioned to begin with. I wonder what you think about this. So I've heard that before, like service industry people like to take care of other service industry people, and you have industry nights, you do all those sort of things. But one of the first thing I did was I made sure that when you get into the app and you kind of set yourself up, every server, bartender, staff, or whatever automatically gets a patron profile or a customer profile. It's just automatic because you're going to be both. You're always, if you're a server, you're definitely a customer somewhere. But then
Right.
one of the things that I'm trying to implement and find the right way to do it, it'll probably be like a little badge or something like that. But everybody that's a server or bartender or whatever will have a badge on the customer side that says that they are. And so
Yeah.
like, my hope is obviously, certain people and they know you and they don't need to see that. But if you were to go on vacation and you go sit down anywhere, it could be another Twin Peaks, it could be a Bonefish Grill or Tommy Bahama or whatever it is, that server might notice that you're also a server, and there may be some little bit of an extra bond, or maybe relax the server a little bit and thinking that they can, they don't have to put on the full show. Maybe I don't know how
They can like have a real honest conversation with you, excuse me, and not feel like they have to be like in
a robot. Yeah, I feel like a lot of servers are just trying to not screw up anything, like not say the wrong thing, not come off the wrong way. And I feel like it would be nice to be able to just be yourself and chill for more tables,
Yeah.
right, in general.
Exactly. Especially now in society, you have to be very careful with what you say. You don't want to piss anybody off, because that still is going to reflect your tip and how you get paid.
Right. Yeah. So I'm excited about that. I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to roll it out yet, but I think having industry folks know that they're sitting without having to bring it up and be like, oh, I work at I'm a bartender too. I do that. You don't have to necessarily bring it up, but like if you go and request them and they look at your profile and they'll see the little, icon, whatever it says. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dig it.
I like that. Yeah.
What else was I going to ask you? The communication is kind of the big thing. Like, oh, I know, like scheduling. So like, what do you think about having, like, would you put multiple schedules, multiple jobs? Like if you were going to go work a beer cart somewhere one day, or you were going to go do a private event, or the other thing that I think is really important is if like we'll be able to sort by the servers that have the most followers. And if Jim Irsay is trying to have a private event and he wants to get the best bartenders in town, he could go onto the app, figure out who has the most followers, who's the best at what they do, there's a lot of pictures and things like that. So who's putting the most custom drinks out there or whatever. I have a buddy that's at Anthony J's Chop House in Carmel, and he puts photos of his like badass craft cocktails that he makes or whatever on there. And like somebody's throwing a party could see that and be like, oh, I want to have
a private event.
a private event and I want this person to do it, because now they've marketed themselves as, whatever their strength is. It could be custom drinks. He's got a savage beard. It could be that people just love his beard. It could be your looks. It could be, I have a son that has a peanut allergy. So like, I know a couple servers in town that have peanut allergies, and I'm like, I feel better because I'm like, I know he won't bring me anything that he can't eat, and that'll make me feel better about my son not eating peanut shit. So
Right.
like little things like that. So like, I think the idea is that you could then put yourself out there to get other gigs, like, custom events or bartending at a concert or something like that. And like, do you think that if you had regulars at your regular job, would they maybe follow you to those things if they knew you were doing different types of events?
Yes, for sure. I mean, 9 times out of 10, if you have a good regular base, they're coming into an establishment for you. So if you change establishments, you do something else, they're going to come follow you because yes, the beer is cold, the food's good, but at the end of the day, it's your service. It's you presenting yourself in such a way that they enjoy it. They know they can come in, they're having a bad day, like, and they forget about their day. And like life is just like great inside these four walls until you walk back out to reality.
Right. Do you feel as like a server, you're or bartender or anything that you do, like, do you feel like you're in much control of anything that's in there? Like, I guess what made me think of that is like they come in there to see you, but the restaurant itself, the management for the most part, kind of doesn't give a shit. They just want the tables filled. They want the drinks out fast. They want the food obviously to be right. Um, and like, to me, it seems like the servers, and I know you're probably treated a little differently there than other places, but the servers are just sort of glorified delivery people in some way, shape, or form. And they don't seem to get a lot of the power. And I feel like what this will do is put some of the power back in the server, or in the server's hands, not back because they never had it. But like, do you feel that inside there as a server or bartender, that you're just a commodity and they could just get rid of you and the next person come in and do just as
Oh yeah,
well?
they're a dime a dozen. That's what you're always told. You're replaceable in a sense. Like, yes, people would miss you, but at the end of the day, this is just a job. They need a position filled. Anybody can fill that position. It's
You
where
think
like
that's true? Like, I mean, given you and your experience and all the shit you've done, you go find some brand new kid to come in there and take over. Is it going to be the same?
it's not the same now.
Right.
Because I've had regulars reach out to me and tell me this place isn't the same, blah, 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 blah. But there's also still those people that do just come in for the cold beer and they don't even notice that a face has changed. So you have both sides of the coin, but more so you have your regulars that come in there for certain people, for their certain days, their time. That's what makes the restaurant. Yes, it's Twin Peaks and people will come because I mean, we're in Indiana. There's not a whole lot of other things like that here.
Right.
That gives us an advantage too, but most of the time it's the regulars coming in, especially on your slow shifts and your slow days. Like as a restaurant, I would want to put some of my all-stars on my slow days because I know they're going to have that place packed full to where it's going to help business go up more instead of having them on Fridays and Saturdays too.
It's going to be packed anyway. Yeah. I think that's going to be interesting too, like kind of what you're alluding to of like your regulars that come in there to see you, and there's not much, like there's super cool, good looking men and women that work at Applebee's too. It's just a little harder to find. You don't know, like sometimes I wonder if it'll like loosen up the hold that like, those types of restaurants have on that. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it does, at the end of the day, I think most dudes kind of don't really care what the outfit ultimately is. Like if you're working at the pub, they just soon come see you at the pub with more clothes on, just because of the experience that you offer. And I think, I don't know, we'll see how that plays out. I think it's going to help in that regard, that and think all the men that can now, like, oh, I was just at Applebee's, the one, like I was hanging out.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something there. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But.
Right. I think that will definitely open up for other people to see and to put themselves out there in a way that makes them like, oh, wow, these people are just as great than as the girls at Twin Peaks,
Well, and like like everybody's gonna have their thing. You got the Peyton Manning thing, you got the peanut allergy thing. Some people, you know, have attractiveness as their thing. Like you can still have that as your thing and work somewhere else, I think, is,
Yeah.
you know, and it'll help with that a little bit. I don't know. Well, cool. I know you're busy. I don't know. I
You're
just wanted
good.
to see what you thought about it. Like,
I'm excited. I think it's gonna be good. I'm going back to work at the end of November, probably at Twin Peaks, working on Saturdays again. So I'm excited to try it out and to
that'll be
do it.
cool. Well, it'll be neat because, like, you know, some people that have that staple schedule, they might not get as excited about it because they work the exact same days. But if you're like popping in, you know, on Saturdays, sometimes you miss one, maybe your hours change a little bit. I think that's kind of like it's super
More,
helpful for that sort of thing, like when it's not as consistent or whatever.
yeah.
Um,
That's what I'm debating, Saturdays and Sundays. We'll see which one I go with. So that will be perfect for me to figure out too, like what days do I have better customers coming in?
yeah. Oh, I know. One more thing. So I wanted to, so like I have three ways that I'm going to make money off of this, and I'm kind of easing into them. It's sort of like you probably don't remember the movie. There's an old movie about Facebook where he's like, I'm just going to put it out there and it's cool now. I'm not going to fuck it up. So I'm going to keep it cool and free for the most part, which is crazy these days because everybody's trying to make a buck. But my idea, though, to charge initially is to only charge the customers that want to see future schedules. So you can always see who's working right now. But if a
Mhm.
customer wants to see if you're working tomorrow, next week, they want to plan ahead, right? They'll have to pay like a small subscription, like $1.99 or something like that. And so like I'm hopeful that that'll work. So what I'm wondering is if like some customer comes in and let's say you tell them like what I hope is like you'll say, all right, you know, I worked today, you were pretty cool, you sat with me, I hit it off, you should follow me on Sit With Me. You know, here's my handle, here's my user ID, whatever it is, or there'll be a QR code eventually they can scan. So now this person's following you and they're going to be like, well, wait a minute, you know, I see you're working today. When do you work the rest of the week? And you can tell them, you could just be like, oh, I'll put it in my message or I'll tell, which is fine. I don't, you know, that's not a big deal. But some people will need to pay the $1.99 to see the future schedule. And I'm hopeful that some people will be like, well, just go, you know, you got to go pay the subscription fee to see in the future. I could change last minute and that'll get you the future schedule. It's like, would you see that from like a bartender standpoint as annoying or just part of it? Or like, I mean, and be honest, don't worry, like would you look at that as a hassle to have to tell them what your schedule is tomorrow, or would you just be like, pay the $1.99, dude, and figure it out?
Pay the $1.99, figure out if you really want to sit with me and
Yeah, it's
see
a
me.
dollar
You're
ninety
gonna
nine, right? Like,
right. And like, I mean, that way you can always know, you can always see what's changing. That way also too, you don't always have to send out those messages like, oh, my schedule's changed. Here's what's
yeah,
going on next week. They can easily just go in, see it, know what your schedule is, and then they're ready to go.
I love it. Yeah. Well, when it's done, like maybe I'll come in and show you or something like that and walk you through it. Like,
Yes.
and then like I'm hopeful that I could get a few people to like legit try it, to be like I want people to like flip on, like, I'm a salesperson now, I'm going to use this as a sales tool. You know, I'm going to send a message out to everybody, I'm going to post a regular picture, it's almost like your business Instagram type of thing, you know what I mean, your LinkedIn
Mhm.
account. And what I'm hoping to do is like have these conversations now, and then 2 months into it, like talk to people like, all right, how is it working? Like, you're getting more customers? Is the quality of the table better? Has your tips gone up? Have you gotten any offline tips? Like, turn it into a conversation like that and just see what the growth is in a short period of time.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm
That'd be
excited.
really good to see like within a year too, like not a short period of time, yes, but then over a year's course of
Yeah.
time. And you could be like, say like, oh yeah, I'm helping you make more money. This is helping you do that. Like that'd be really neat.
How many followers and this, that, and the other. The other thing I didn't tell you that it'll do too is like you could, so there's a ranking or a stack, like a Google search, right? If I were to search, you can search by all kinds of stuff, but I want to see every bartender at a sports bar who's working right now within 5 miles of me. You know, you can kind of filter it down, and it's going to put a list out there like Google. Servers and bartenders, if they want, can pay to boost their rankings. So some people, it's going to default to who uses it the most. So if you're putting pictures out there and your profile's complete and that sort of thing, it'll boost you up. But if you're in a competitive area, competitive time, you might want to have like a little boost from a subscription or something like that. But if like the NFL Combine's in town, you might want to really boost it to make sure that, maybe the Dallas Cowboys owner swings through and sits at your table and that sort of thing. So you can pay extra money to boost your profile on special events, kind of like Uber surge charges.
Yeah.
Do you think and I know it's different. The Waffle House in Hot Springs, Arkansas isn't necessarily going to worry about that, but like somebody at Kilroy's Pub across the street from Lucas Oil, they definitely might want to boost during like an NFL Combine kind of thing. Like, I don't know. Do you think servers will use that as like trying to make sure they get their name out there?
I think they will, and I think you'll even have regulars who would be willing to pay for that for a server because they want to see them do well and do that type of stuff. So I think that's a good idea as well.
I love it.
They
Nice.
want to see their servers be successful, so they'll help in any way they can.
That's cool. Well, I appreciate it.